you may recall she made reference to a very important document that was worked as a product of the first founding sessions of the BRICS Parliamentary Forum. Multiple sessions held in working on the document, and it is now ready to be served. And it's important to get a background around the engagements around it, leading to where it is now. For that session, I would like to invite Honorable Boroto, our House Chairperson in the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa, to take stage and preside over this session. Over to you, Honorable Boroto.
Thank you, Program Director, and greetings to all in the House. Let me greet the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mama Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula, the Chairperson of the NCOP, National Council of Provinces, Tatuma Sonto, the Deputy Speaker, Tate Lichisa Tsinoli, the Deputy Chair, Mam Lucas, and also acknowledge our speakers from our neighboring countries. I have seen Namibia, I have seen Mozambique, and others that are here. Presiding officers and representatives of BRICS Parliament, leaders of all the political parties in the Parliament of South Africa, members of Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, led by the Chief Whip, the Honorable Phemi Majodina, speakers of our provinces. I have seen some speakers of our provinces, our 9 provinces. You are welcome also. SALGA is also with us, which is another sphere of government. And I want to also greet SALGA, led by the President Ubabo Utatu Stofile. Let me say distinguished guests and everybody here. Honorable members, I remember in 2018, when we went to the Interparliamentary Union in Geneva, and the speaker there was very passionate about how this parliamentary forum is gonna work. And during that time, we had drafted, as South Africa, a memorandum of understanding where we had to invite all the BRICS countries on the sidelines of the IPU to discuss the issues that we really have to work on. The Honorable Speaker at the time was very passionate about this, where members discussed and were given an opportunity to go back to their countries and look at this memoranda and add on what they would want us, how they would want us to work, and maybe remove some of the things that they did not agree with. And we thought that was a step on the right direction. And this initiative became a foundation of why we are here today. So without even going in depth about this, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker is the former Deputy President of the country, of the Republic of South Africa, and also two-term Speaker of the National Assembly, former Speaker of the National Assembly, Mama Ubaleka Mbete, who will give us the background of history of the Memorandum of Understanding of BRICS parliaments. Thank you, honorable members and guests.
National Assembly Speaker, Honorable Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, Honorable Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, Honorable Presiding Officers and Representatives of BRICS parliaments, and this includes the new additions to the BRICS family, the BRICS community. I take this opportunity to also say welcome to all our people in those countries that are joining this family of progress for the world. Honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, good day to you all. It is my honor, as you heard Maburoto indicate to you, and privilege to stand before you today at the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum meeting. As we gather here under the theme of harnessing multilateralism and parliamentary diplomacy to deepen BRICS and Africa partnership for accelerated implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, it is important to reflect on the significance of this momentous occasion. Perhaps more significantly, we should appreciate how far the BRICS Parliamentary Forum has come. Discussions on the need to establish a BRICS Parliamentary Forum date back to our first BRICS Parliamentary meeting hosted by Russia back in June 2015. My colleague, chairperson of the NCOP then, Mama Thandi Modise, attended that particular meeting in 2015. It was at this meeting that we declared our intention to strengthen and promote contacts at the leadership level of relevant chambers, committees, and groups of parliamentarians, perform interparliamentary exchanges and regular expert consultations, and create and develop new interparliamentary cooperation mechanisms. A multilateral declaration of intent of the legislative organs of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, also known as the Protocol of Intent, to formally cement multilateral BRICS parliamentary relations was drafted and considered by our respective parliaments. But the text was never finalized or signed. And I caught up with the process when we were at the Geneva meeting that Maburoto was referring to, where we agreed on embarking on the formulation and subsequent signing of the relevant protocol as having been agreed to in principle in the initial meeting in Russia. So subsequent BRICS parliamentary and ambassadorial meetings also agreed to strengthen our interparliamentary relations at the multilateral level. When the South African Parliament hosted the BRICS Parliamentary Forum on the 16th October 2016 in Geneva, Switzerland, South Africa presented to the meeting a draft protocol on the BRICS Parliamentary Forum. During this meeting, as well as thereafter, our parliaments reiterated the need to formalize and define their relations. You may recall that numerous consultations on the draft protocol were held, finally culminating in the momentous occasion today, where the renamed Memorandum of Understanding on the BRICS Parliamentary Forum will be signed. I think that deserves a resounding round of applause. Colleagues, your presence here today, I'm your colleague, even though I'm retired. Your presence here today symbolizes the commitment of the BRICS parliaments to reinforce the bonds between our nations and strengthen the foundations of our collective partnership. By signing the Memorandum of Understanding on the BRICS Parliamentary Forum, BRICS parliaments are establishing a platform that seeks to streamline and coordinate our parliamentary contributions to the vision of BRICS. I firmly believe that such coordination will ensure that BRICS parliaments can maximize their parliamentary efforts towards complementing the work of BRICS governments in pursuing a more inclusive, just, and equitable world order. Honorable members, Africa's prosperity has always been a top priority for South Africa. Our vision of continental and regional integration, enhanced interconnectivity, and cross-border infrastructure development are critical components of ensuring a peaceful, stable, and prosperous South Africa and Africa. We are therefore very excited about the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, and the potential it holds for our continent. The AfCFTA is one of the flagship projects of Agenda 2063, Africa's development framework. The creation of the AfCFTA was approved by the 18th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government, held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in January 2012. Essentially, this free trade area seeks to create a single market for goods and services, facilitated by movement of persons in order to deepen the economic integration of the African continent. Honorable members, the AfCFTA will be the largest free trade area in the world, measured by the number of countries participating. The pact connects 1.3 billion people across 55 countries with a combined gross domestic product valued at $3.4 trillion US. It has the potential to lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty, the biggest headache in particular of African women. The African Union's adoption of its theme for the year 2023, Year of AfCFTA, Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation, attests African leaders' commitment to ensuring the success of the AfCFTA. It is absolutely crucial for all hands to be on deck to accelerate the effective implementation of the AFCFTA to fully benefit the African citizenry and achieve the aspirations and goals of the African Union's Agenda 2063. In this slide, parliaments, those of Africa and of BRICS nations, also have a key role to play in contributing to the AFCFTA's success. As we embark on this journey to accelerate the implementation of the AFCFTA, it is important to recognize the significant benefits it holds not only for the African continent, but also for BRICS nations. The AFCFTA presents numerous opportunities for BRICS countries to strengthen their economic ties and enhance cooperation. Allow me to highlight some of the benefits. Market expansion, that's the first one. The vast African market the AFCFTA creates provides BRICS nations access to new consumers and diverse investment opportunities, promoting trade expansion and economic growth. The second one is enhanced trade flows. The AFCFTA aims to significantly boost intra-Africa trade, presenting BRICS nations with an avenue to increase their trade volumes and diversify their export destinations within the continent. Thirdly, investment opportunities. BRICS nations, as major investors in Africa, can benefit from the improved investment climate and the creation of a more predictable trade environment, thereby facilitating business expansion and deepening economic ties. The fourth one is industrial development. BRICS countries, known for their expertise in various industries, can leverage their capabilities to support Africa's industrial development, leading to technology transfer, job creation, and economic diversification. The next one is the infrastructure development. BRICS nations, renowned for their expertise in infrastructure development, can contribute by sharing experiences, investing in infrastructure projects, and promoting the connectivity agenda, thereby enhancing regional integration. The next one is knowledge and skills transfer. BRICS nations can contribute by sharing best practices, providing technical assistance, facilitating educational and training programs, fostering human capital development, and strengthening institutional capacities within African countries. The next is strategic partnerships. By collaborating through joint ventures, research and development initiatives, and technology sharing arrangements, BRICS nations can forge stronger economic ties and foster long-term win-win relationships. And last on my list, global influence. The successful implementation of the AFCFTA can position Africa as a major economic force in the world and amplify the collective voice of BRICS nations on global economic governance. By supporting the AFCFTA, BRICS countries can strengthen their influence collectively in international trade negotiations, promote a more inclusive global trading system, and advocate for the interest of developing economies. Honorable members, the opportunities the AFCFTA holds for our countries are truly limitless. As BRICS parliaments, you can contribute to the successful implementation of the AFCFTA through strategically streamlining your collaboration through parliamentary diplomacy among yourselves and with other actors beyond your group. It is through open dialogue, cooperation, and the exchange of ideas that we can find common ground and further solidify the significant progress the BRICS configuration has made. The MOU that will be adopted today is a major milestone step towards this goal. Together, let us harness the power of multilateralism and parliamentary diplomacy to deepen the BRICS and Africa partnership and accelerate the implementation of the AFCFTA and contribute to the prosperity and development of our nations and the world as a whole, but in particular, our poor people. That is what parliamentarians are about. We are elected by ordinary people in communities, in localities where we get voted for, and we must work truly and passionately for the interest of our people. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to our program director. I greet the chair of the session, Mabrotto. I greet my former speaker and deputy president, Mbeta. So good to see you, and so good to see that a dream and a vision that you had is going to be realized today. I'm very glad to have been asked to move the vote of thanks to Speaker Mbeta and Deputy President, because I was one of the class of 1994 with her, and I also know that we walked these hallowed grounds when we were working on the Constitution during the CODESA days, and she was an active participant and also a spokesperson for the ANC at that time, Mbeta, talking about the progress being made in the drafting of the Constitution. So it gives me great pleasure to be here and to greet His Excellencies that are here, the presiding officers that are here, our guests from abroad, and of course my fellow members of Parliament from the National Assembly of South Africa and the NCOP, as well as members of Parliament from the other countries. Honorable Mbeta, I think this is certainly a milestone in reaching this Memorandum of Understanding today. But the Memorandum of Understanding must not just be nice words written on paper, on glossy paper. We, as members of Parliament, have a responsibility to give tangible expression to what is contained in the Memorandum of Understanding. It will require a lot of work and cooperation amongst all our parliaments within the BRICS family to ensure that legislation that we enact in our respective parliaments resonate with each other in terms of issues like climate change and other issues affecting particularly the African people of the continent. Madam Speaker, I can still call you Madam Speaker, just tomorrow, on the 1st of October, a carbon adjustment mechanism is going to be introduced by the EU, called CBAM, in short. And what CBAM does, it's going to restrict the exportation of certain products from our African countries into the EU, which are carbon intensive. It's going to affect products like aluminium, iron and steel, and many other products. And I think we as countries within Africa have to be very alive to the fact that we will not be able to export these commodities in the quantities that we certainly do. So we have to find other markets. We as legislators have to find other avenues to ensure that Africa prospers and that we are recognized as a developing continent. We have great opportunities as a continent, and Madam Speaker, you have set the scene. As Honorable, our current Speaker, Speaker Ngakula said, and you, Honorable Broto, you were the driver of this initiative. And I think ours is to say to you today, as members of Parliament, and to get a commitment that we will not let you down in ensuring that over time, the objectives that you have set out in this Memorandum of Understanding are met. So on behalf of all of us that are here, I would like to thank you very, very much for this initiative, for this driving force. You continue to be a driving force in our country. You might have said that you've retired, but we know that you are involved in other activities that will promote this country, promote our heritage, and ensure that we are recognized. So thank you very, very much for your time, for your passion, for your drive. We all certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that vote of thanks, Honorable Singh. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, we will now break for lunch.